We're here with the Anderson family to see if Freestyle Music Park rocks their world.
With thrilling rides for all ages, awesome food and live shows, Freestyle Music Park is full volume, totally amped family fun.
And we're back. Are you okay? It's official, folks. This park rocks.
Freestyle Music Park in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is full volume family fun.
Location, location, location. This one simple word can make or break an amusement park success. Look at Hershey Park. Located in the middle of a bustling tourist town famous for its chocolate industry, this park has no trouble drawing in the crowds. Being close to either a tourist destination or a large city will do wonders to an amusement park's attendance and likely keep them coming back for more. This brings us to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, an extremely popular vacation destination that is approaching 20 million visitors annually. Myrtle Beach used to be home to a seaside park called the Pavilion, home to a massive Custom Coasters International wooden coaster named Hurricane. Despite its popularity, the Pavilion closed down in 2006, with some of its rides being moved to a newer park at the popular Broadway at the Beach. To this day, the only major amusement park in the area is Family Kingdom, home to the wooden coaster Swamp Fox and several smaller attractions. However, the amusement destinations in Myrtle Beach, Family Kingdom included, pale in comparison to other parks in the country in both size and number of rides. You might wonder why nobody has attempted a large-scale amusement park in Myrtle Beach, but that's where you'd be wrong. Somebody did attempt one, and his name was Jon Binkowski. Jon Binkowski was the CEO of Renaissance Entertainment, a company based out of Orlando, Florida. However, he also owned and operated a small theater in Myrtle Beach, about 3 miles from the beach itself. In 2001, after operating the theater for so many years, Binkowski had plenty of time to become familiar with the land surrounding his business, which included an L-shaped body of water and an abandoned shopping mall which had formerly been part of the Waccamaw factory shops, also known as Waccamaw Pottery. Binkowski began formulating an idea for a large-scale attraction to be placed on the site, one that would not only bring more business to his theater, but the surrounding businesses as well. His first design for the new amusement park was to be called Fantasy Harbor, after the surrounding shopping district. In order to avoid paying licensing fees, the park's themed areas would be the 4 seasons, and each would have a mascot pertaining to that season's holidays, which would keep things in the public domain. After this pitch was rejected by every potential investor he presented it to, Binkowski realized he would need an intellectual property in order for his park to succeed. His team's first idea was to join with MGM Studios, but these plans did not get far since the rights to most of MGM's films would need to be acquired independently of the studio. While negotiations with MGM were going on though, Binkowski had an idea to create a park based off the popular Hard Rock brand, who licensed the brand to Hard Rock cafes the world over, as well as hotels and casinos. Binkowski met with Oliver Munday, head of brand licensing for Hard Rock International. By 2006, a deal was made, and construction began on the brand new Hard Rock Park, with a groundbreaking ceremony featuring a massive sand sculpture called Mount Rockmore. The dream was finally becoming reality. The entire year of 2007 was full of excitement as Hard Rock Park continued to be built. Fresh off the closure of the Myrtle Beach Pavilion, locals were excited for this new park to fill the void. To keep the hype going, the park's management did several things. First, they secured a small building near where the park's entrance would be. This building was called the Preview Center and housed a scale model of the park and its attractions. By visiting the Preview Center, prospective guests could get an idea of what to expect once the park opened. Officials from Hard Rock Park appeared at IAAPA 2007 to announce their partnerships with amusement manufacturers, including B&M, Vekoma, Chance Rides, and Premier Rides. Lastly, the park purchased the original Beatles Magical Mystery Bus and towed it around on a tour that stopped in several major cities, ending at the park's front gates in Myrtle Beach. In the span of just 9 months, an impressive amount of construction had been done. The park's logo, originally meant to be this logo here, was changed due to Hard Rock International standardizing all logos at the time. As 2007 came to a close, it was almost time for the park's grand opening.
Must have been to Hard Rock Park. Thrilling rides, killer shows, amazing memorabilia. Fans of all ages rock at Hard Rock Park, where rock comes to play.
On April 15, 2008, after more than 6 years of planning, Hard Rock Park opened to the public with live concerts by both the Eagles and the Moody Blues. However, the first band to perform at the park was actually Bowling for Soup. Hard Rock Park featured a 1,500-seat amphitheater with daily performances, but that was only the beginning of the attractions the park offered. Hard Rock Park was divided into 6 areas catered to rock music and its varieties. These were the All-Access Entry Plaza, Rock and Roll Heaven, Lost in the 70s, Born in the USA, Cool Country, and British Invasion. Each area was well themed, with British Invasion gathering the most praise from critics and park visitors due to its immersive design and memorable set pieces like Phonehenge. Lost in the 70s used the previously existing mall structure and housed a Midway Games area, an arcade, and an indoor restaurant. Jon Binkowski's original theater became the Ice House Theater, which presented an ice show set to rock and roll music. One aspect that gained a lot of praise was the way sound was used to unify the different areas of the park. Speakers were prominently placed throughout the park, and each song that was played had several versions created. For example, a rock version of a song would be playing in Rock and Roll Heaven, and then seamlessly change into a Calliope version when a guest approached the carousel. The only exception to this was when a band was performing at the Whammy Bar, where the band's music would be broadcast across the entire park. Jon Binkowski was ecstatic over the park's opening and let his voice be heard at many media outlets.
Well, what makes Hard Rock Theme Park kind of different than any other park or attraction is got to be the rock and roll. You know, yes, okay. Disney's got Rock and Roller Coaster in a movie park, and we've got rock and roll throughout. So we're kind of like Rock and Roller Coaster on steroids here, and we've got it for every different kind of genre, feel, musical style and type, and I think that's what makes us different, and it's a natural layering. Theme parks and rock and roll get along really well together.
However, Hard Rock Park did not just gain praise for its theming. While some people came for their passion for rock music, others came to satisfy their desire for high-intensity roller coasters, and the park had 5 in total. First, Shake, Rattle, and Roller Coaster was a standard Vekoma Junior coaster, but it was built on sand to convey the impression that it was on a beach. Otherwise, this was a stock ride from Vekoma, but certain to be enjoyed by young children. Premier Rides constructed a water coaster called Slippery When Wet, and the entire area it was built in was themed to look like a national park, with an accompanying ropes course nearby. This was one of only 2 water attractions in the park, the other being a climbing structure called Reggae River Falls. Slippery When Wet shot jets of water at riders over nearly 1,200 feet of track. Premier Rides were also responsible for a prototype ride, the first of its kind in the world, which premiered at Hard Rock Park. Maximum RPM aimed to combine 2 of the most popular amusement rides, a Ferris wheel and a roller coaster. The ride began when the train rolled onto the Ferris wheel, which would be rotated to the top, releasing the train so it could complete the rest of the layout. Although interesting in concept, Maximum RPM suffered multiple delays and technical issues stemming from its Ferris wheel lift, and it ultimately did not open until late June of 2008. The ride also drew some criticism due to the actual coaster portion being incredibly short and low capacity to boot, leading to long wait times. Park management attempted to remedy this by introducing the first karaoke queue line. While they waited, guests could choose from a list of available songs to sing in front of all other waiting guests, and a live DJ would offer either praise or humorous criticism depending on the performance. The ride also didn't slack on the theming either, as the queue resembled an automobile factory, complete with an imitation car wash before entering. Hard Rock Park's 4th coaster was Eagle's Life in the Fast Lane, which was originally meant to be called Midnight Rider. This was a Vekoma mine train coaster with 2 lift hills, the second of which passed back through the station. Despite being called Life in the Fast Lane, the train did not travel all that fast as it went through several small drops and helixes, with a fiery finale. One thing to note is that both Vekoma coasters at Hard Rock Park were actually fabricated in the United States by Chance Rides, formerly known as D.H. Morgan Manufacturing, so two coaster designers had a hand in bringing these rides to life. Finally, what many considered to be the star attraction at Hard Rock Park, Led Zeppelin the Ride. This B&M sit-down coaster stood at a height of 150 feet, dominating the park's skyline. The entire station actually took the form of a giant Zeppelin, going hand in hand with the theme. Riders would enter into a small room and be treated to a pre-show with Led Zeppelin performing Whole Lotta Love in Madison Square Garden. Midway through, the doors would open so riders could proceed onto the loading platform, but the song continued to play. Once the train was dispatched, the onboard speakers would take over and play a version of the song that was perfectly synced to every element of the ride. Speaking of elements, these included a 150-foot drop, 120-foot vertical loop, cobra roll, zero-G roll, another smaller loop, and a helix, after which the train hit the mid-course brake run. After coming off the brakes, the train went through another series of turns with one more inversion, a corkscrew, before coming back into the station. Led Zeppelin the Ride received overwhelming praise from riders, much of which was directed toward the onboard sound system. Two of the park's other coasters featured onboard audio, including Eagle's Life in the Fast Lane, which, as you'd expect, played Life in the Fast Lane, and Maximum RPM, which played a medley of music by British artists. Led Zeppelin received the most praise, though, due to the way the ride matched the soundtrack. Whichever way you look at it, there was no question that Hard Rock Park's coaster lineup was off to a strong start. But coasters weren't the only attractions in the park. One of the main attractions was the dark ride Nights in White Satin, The Trip. Jon Binkowski had a personal hand in designing this attraction, in addition to Sally Corporation, the famous dark ride company. Binkowski challenged Sally Corporation to create a dark ride that did not rely on their traditional animatronics, and they succeeded. Using the pre-existing mall structure to house the ride, the end product incorporated projection mapping, dynamic lighting, distinct smells, and of course onboard audio. The Moody Blues actually traveled to Russia to re-record Nights in White Satin, creating a new version timed perfectly to the ride. It began with a brief walkthrough section where riders would be given their 3D glasses before boarding the ride vehicles. Due to the way the walls were painted and how the lights moved, images appeared to move right off the walls. It was an attraction that really can't be done justice through any video footage, but those that have ridden it compared it to attractions you'd find at most Disney parks. Hard Rock Park was also not without its shows. In addition to live entertainment at 3 stage areas around the park, there was also the Roadie Stunt Show, Malibu Beach Party, and the Ice House Theater, to name a few. An evening at Hard Rock Park concluded with Bohemian Rhapsody, a fireworks laser show spectacular set to Queen's legendary song. With its combination of immersive theming, irreverent humor, and thrilling attractions, Hard Rock Park received overwhelming acclaim from both critics and the guests who attended. The only problem was the guests who attended, because there weren't many of them. Hard Rock Park suffered from some of the worst timing of any amusement park in history. The park opened right in the middle of the 2008 economic recession, when gas prices hit an all-time high, and those who traveled to the beach were being increasingly frugal with their finances. Most tourists visiting Myrtle Beach at the time stuck to spending their days on the beach itself, which was free compared to any of the other attractions in the area. The management of Hard Rock Park learned the hard way that it is extremely difficult to get people off the beach and to your business, but most people on the beach in 2008 had no idea the park even existed. Lack of funds led to a very limited marketing campaign, and as such, most tourists coming from farther away had no idea that Myrtle Beach had a brand new theme park. To make matters worse, tickets into the park were quite expensive at $50, and there were no discounts for South Carolina residents and no way to acquire cheaper tickets at local businesses partnered with the park. Even young children had to adhere to the $50 admission price, as management tried something new by having everyone who attended the park pay the same price. This gathered a mixed reception, but it contributed to the overall low attendance. Despite the positive reviews the park received, those who attended described it as a ghost town, with short lines and empty midways. It was clear the park wasn't attracting enough business, and they were forced to end the 2008 season over a month early, declaring Chapter 11 bankruptcy. After less than a year, the fate of Hard Rock Park was up in the air. Months went by with no word on Hard Rock Park's status, despite signs stating a 2009 reopening. As 2008 turned into 2009, it appeared as though the park would remain standing but not operating. However, in late February of 2009, a sale was approved to a new company, FPI MB Entertainment. 2 of the park's original owners were on board, but the rest were fresh talent. After a series of negotiations, it was decided that the park would not continue the use of the Hard Rock name. At the beginning of April, the new owners announced the park's new name, Freestyle Music Park, which would pay tribute to all kinds of music, not just rock. Steve Baker, who was the new head of the park's day-to-day operations, was excited about the acquisition.
So we're gonna try and bring this more back to center of a family park. Still highlighting, of course, music and rock and roll and all the good things about the park. The park's in great shape. That was one thing that encouraged us about buying the park. It was in very good shape. Well, it's been extremely positive and enthusiastic, and very grateful that we bought the park and are going to reopen it and provide 700,000 jobs. The economy and the market and the economy that the market's in needed a good positive statements, good positive news, and this is good positive news.
With this announcement made at the beginning of April and a late May reopening on the horizon, this gave the new owners just under 2 months to quickly reskin the entire park, removing all the hard rock theming. A seemingly impossible task, but one that the new owners accomplished, but at what cost? Guests were soon to find out when the park reopened on May 23rd.
I'm here with the Anderson family at the brand new Freestyle Music Park, where we're about to see if the Time Machine coaster rocks their world. Okay, we're back. Let's find out the results. Sir, are you okay? It's official, folks. This ride rocks.
Freestyle Music Park in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is full-volume family fun.
At first glance, not much appeared to have been changed within the park, but a closer look said otherwise. The most notable changes were the names of the different areas within the park. All Access Entry Plaza became VIP Plaza. Rock and Roll Heaven became Myrtle's Beach. British Invasion became Across the Pond. Cool Country became Country USA, and Born in the USA became Kids in America, featuring a new area with 4 additional Zamperla children's rides. Speaking of rides, all the names had to be changed to comply with the removal of the Hard Rock brand. Shake, Rattle, and Roller Coaster was renamed Hang 10. Slippery When Wet became Soaked. Maximum RPM was renamed to Roundabout and still played a medley of music, but not limited to artists of British origin. Eagle's Life in the Fast Lane became Iron Horse and played The Devil Went Down to Georgia by the Charlie Daniels Band. And finally, Led Zeppelin The Ride was renamed to Time Machine. Much like Roundabout, it played a compilation of music from different decades, but the decade depended on what row you were seated in. Also of note was Nights in White Satin, The Trip, which also needed to be changed despite its fantastic reviews. The ride was quickly reskinned into Monstars of Rock, a ride themed to a monster band performing in a graveyard. The characters within the ride just appeared as cardboard cutouts with limited movement in a few cases, and the ride was nowhere near as memorable as Nights in White Satin. The park continued its shows, albeit with slightly different ones, including Adrenaline Rush in place of Malibu Beach Party and CSI Live. To counter the lack of discounts offered during the 2008 season, Freestyle Music Park offered several over the course of the year, including $10 off for South Carolina residents and $17.76 admission on the 4th of July. Despite making less money as a result, Freestyle Music Park still saw attendance. Sometimes. Freestyle Music Park closed for the season at the end of summer 2009. Despite still getting favorable reviews, it had been clear that attendance was still an issue, maybe even worse than in 2008. Despite this, park management remained adamant about a 2010 reopening, but behind the scenes, the park had serious financial troubles. Several lawsuits had been filed against the park throughout 2009, relating to how little was apparently changed from the Hard Rock days. On top of this, when FPI purchased the park, they were also undertaking the responsibility of paying off the rest of the money owed from the 2008 season. It was clear that park management would have no way to continue paying off these debts, and foreclosure was seeming to become a more realistic option. The park did not open on time in 2010, and by then it was clear that it was unlikely to reopen at all. Between 2010 and 2013, the property went back and forth between different owners and investors. Some wanted to reopen it, and others wished to redevelop it, but nothing ever happened. During this time, the park itself sat empty, still being looked after, but locked to outside visitors. Finally, in late 2013, Activity was seen at the site, but it wasn't the kind people were hoping for.
The once gleaming Hard Rock, later called Freestyle Park, is now marked by weeds and rusty park benches. The park has been closed since the end of the 2009 season, and now Ital International, a theme park ride dealer in Nashville, has listed most of the park's rides for sale.
That's the biggest shame of it all, that we see that in the background here, and that's going away. And you know, I rode it personally maybe 50 times. An old guy like me, and it was a lot of fun. It really was. I think if Freestyle had stuck it out, if the owner had let them stay with it, I think it would have been successful today.
Yes, the rides were being dismantled and shipped off to a new park. With this, it was finally clear that Freestyle Music Park was never reopening. Once the final ride, Time Machine, was removed, the park's gates were locked up one last time. Freestyle Music Park was officially abandoned. To this day, the remains of Freestyle Music Park still stand, minus the rides. The park's walkways, buildings, and entertainment venues are still standing, and for the most part, still structurally sound. Some of the gift shops are still full of merchandise. The property is still under surveillance, however, and as the front gate is locked, it is forbidden to enter and explore. That hasn't stopped some people, however, especially those with access to drones. The resulting view is that of a mostly intact park with coaster footers still visible. The inside of the former mall building is still full of Hard Rock Park merchandise, and the only ride left on site is the Sally Dark ride, still inside the mall building. However, it's locked up tight, and nobody in recent years has been inside, so it's only assumed that the ride is still in there. Signs have faded, walkways have cracked, and most everybody who visits Myrtle Beach now has no idea this park was even here, or is even still here. But if you're so inclined, the front entrance gate is still available to explore, with shattered windows and ripped ticket signs. The park's signage by the highway is even still there, leading to nothing. But what happened to the park's attractions? Some stayed close by, but most went very far. Some of the park's flat rides went over to Family Kingdom in Myrtle Beach, where they still operate near the famous Swamp Fox coaster. All of the park's roller coasters were purchased by parks in Vietnam with the same owner. The majority of them went to a park in Da Nang called Sun World. Slippery When Wet, or Soaked, was reconstructed at Sun World, but never actually opened to the public. The same can be said for Maximum RPM, or Roundabout, which was also rebuilt but never opened due to mechanical issues. Shake, Rattle, and Roller Coaster, or Hang 10, was reopened as Garuda Valley, and Eagle's Life in the Fast Lane, or Iron Horse, reopened as Port of Sky Treasure. Just by taking one look at these coasters in their new location, it's clear the theming is much better than Hard Rock Park. The owner of Sun World opened a new park called Dragon Park in 2017, and as its main attraction, Led Zeppelin the Ride, or Time Machine, was rebuilt and is now called Dragon's Run, even preserving the Zeppelin-themed station. So even though they're quite far away from their original place of operation, 3 of the park's 5 coasters are still giving guests thrilling rides to this day. As of September 2018, Hard Rock Park is still abandoned. Several people have managed to gain access to the site, but all that remains are buildings and faded signs. The park was even used in an episode of the TV show Relocation as a post-apocalyptic amusement park. Recently, Chinese investors have been eyeing up the property and have even managed to bring a few businesses back to the nearby Waccamaw Mall property. Whether they do something with the Hard Rock Park site remains to be seen. And what of Jon Binkowski? Well, despite the park's failure, his enthusiasm for the industry seems to be no worse for wear. He returned as CEO of Renaissance Entertainment and has since assisted in the planning and design of the Shanghai Disneyland Resort, as well as recent Disney projects he cannot disclose. Most of the staff that worked on Hard Rock Park went on to do work for Disney and Universal, but they still remember their park in Myrtle Beach. Although most visitors are unaware of it, Hard Rock Park can still be remembered as the most ambitious project in Myrtle Beach's history.
I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina today, and Heather is with me. And after a failed attempt to convince our caravan to stop at Family Kingdom so I could catch a coaster credit on Swamp Fox, I came here to Broadway at the Beach hoping to find their other small roller coaster here. It's one of the figure-8 spinning roller coasters, and just get a quick credit on that. So after pushing my way through the crowd, it's closed. A bit upsetting.
Turtle.
What?
It's the Myrtle Turtle.
Yeah, I like the name, but it's closed, and we can't get the credit.
Why do we have the worst luck? Why?
We're having terrible luck. I don't get it. Why can't I ride the family spinning coaster?